Genesis 12 verse 2, "And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great, and so you shall be a blessing." Genesis, the 12th of March KS, one of the greatest turning points in the entire Bible. Up until this moment, humanity had repeatedly rebelled against God. From Adam and Eve, to the flood in Noah's day, to the Tower of Babel, mankind continually chose pride and sin over obedience. But in Genesis 12, God begins a new chapter through one man, Abram, later called Abraham. God calls Abram to leave everything familiar behind, his country, his relatives, and his father's house, and go to a land God would show him. Abram did not yet know the destination. He simply had to trust God. Then God gives him an incredible promise in verse 2. This verse contains 4 powerful promises. 1. I will make you a great nation. At the time, Abram and his wife Sarai had no children. Humanly speaking, the promise seemed impossible. Yet God was not limited by human weakness. God would build a nation from Abram that would eventually become Israel. But this promise goes even deeper than physical descendants. Through Abraham's lineage would come Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world. God was preparing a plan of redemption that would bless every nation on earth. For today, this reminds us that God often starts with what seems small, broken, or impossible. We may look at our lives and think, nothing significant can come from me. Yet God specializes in building something eternal out of ordinary people who trust Him. Your current situation does not limit God's future plans. Point 2. I will bless you. God promised personal blessing to Abram. This was not merely about wealth or success. Biblical blessing is deeper. It means living under God's favor, care, protection, guidance, and purpose. Sometimes modern culture treats blessing as material prosperity only, but many wealthy people are miserable, anxious, and spiritually empty. True blessing is having God's hand upon your life. A person can have little money yet possess peace, joy, hope, and strength through Christ. Another person may have everything materially and still feel empty inside. God's blessings are often seen in ways we overlook: strength during suffering, peace during uncertainty, comfort during grief, wisdom for decisions, forgiveness for sins, salvation through Christ, hope when life feels dark. Many people today are carrying heavy burdens: loneliness, rejection, financial pressure, illness, grief, depression, or fear about the future. Genesis 12:2 reminds us that God is still a God who blesses people, leads people, and cares personally for them. Point 3. Make your name great. This part is especially interesting because in Genesis 11, at the Tower of Babel, people tried to make a great name for themselves through pride and rebellion against God. In Genesis 12, God tells Abram that He will make Abram's name great. There is a huge difference. The world says, promote yourself. Build your platform, make yourself important. But God honors humility and obedience. Abram became known not because he chased fame, but because he trusted God. Even today, thousands of years later, Abraham is remembered as a man of faith. This teaches us something important. When we surrender our lives to God, we no longer have to force our own greatness. God is able to open doors, shape our testimony, and use our lives in ways we could never accomplish ourselves. Point 4. You shall be a blessing. God never blesses people merely so they can keep everything for themselves. Blessing is meant to flow outward. Abram was blessed so he could bless others. That is still true today. When God comforts us, we can comfort others. When God forgives us, we can forgive others. When God helps us through pain, we can encourage others going through pain. In a world filled with anger, selfishness, division, and hopelessness, believers are called to reflect God's love and truth. Sometimes the greatest blessing you can give is a kind word, encouragement, prayer, compassion, or simply being there for someone who feels forgotten. You may never fully know how deeply your kindness affects another person. Relevance for today, Genesis 12:2 reminds us that God works through faith, not human ability. Abram did not have all the answers. He simply trusted the one who called him. Many people today want certainty before taking a step of faith, but often God says, "Trust me first, and I will guide you." This verse also reminds us that God's purpose for our lives is bigger than ourselves. We are not called merely to survive, chase money, or seek temporary success. We are called to know God, walk with Him, and become a blessing to others. Even in seasons of pain, loneliness, or uncertainty, God can still use your life for something meaningful. The same God who called Abram still calls people today to trust him, to walk by faith, to receive his blessing, and to become a bless.